There's a deep forest to the west of Ireland, but there's no trace of this forest on any world map. And what lies within this forest is beyond any person's imagination from the outside civilized world. But one person, named Professor, began living in the forest to study those extraterrestrials. According to him, extraterrestrial beings live in this deep forest. Their appearance is strange and terrifying, and their bodies possess immense strength. The bizarre thing is that these extraterrestrials can take on any form. These fearsome, powerful, intelligent creatures have never ventured outside the forest. Moreover, they cannot come out during the day, even within the forest. Their significant activities begin only under the cover of night. Humans from the civilized world can enter this forest. And even if someone does manage to enter, they can never return from the forest. To be precise, those extraterrestrials do not allow them to return. Because if those people return from the forest, the people of the civilized world would become aware of their existence. Those extraterrestrials monitor humans and conduct research on them from within the forest. Over many years, they have gradually learned to acquire all the strengths of humans and can even take on human form. But one person, named Professor, began living in the forest to study those extraterrestrials. Hello, friends. There is no end to the research on whether extraterrestrials exist on Earth or not. And in 2024, a movie just like this was released, which has taken the world by storm. The name of the movie is The Watcher. So, without further ado, let's start from the very beginning of the story. At the beginning of the movie, a man is seen running in fear. As he runs, he gets exhausted and stops at one place. He quickly checks the time on his watch, because he only has 22 minutes left to live. Within this time, the sun will set. And if he cannot get out of there before sunset, his life will end right there. The man keeps running desperately, and just behind him a sign reads, "Point of no return 108, meaning there is no way back from there. Despite using all his strength to run, he cannot get out of the forest before sunset. Suddenly, he stops at a spot, and all of a sudden, thousands of birds are seen flying out of the forest. The man, terrified, tries to climb a tree, but suddenly he falls from the tree, and various parts of his body get cut and torn. The man sits under the tree and suddenly sees a strange creature in front of him. He can't believe his eyes when he sees the creature. Suddenly, the creature drags him into a hole. After this, we are introduced to a girl named Mina. Mina was sitting with her newly bought birds, chatting with them. She was telling the bird the story of her life, saying that her mother had died on this day 15 years ago. Mina and her sister were in a car with their mother, going to a city. And suddenly they had a terrible accident in which their mother died. Since then, Mina has been living apart from her sister and has never gone back to see her. One day, while Mina was driving, her sister Lucy suddenly sent her a voice message. Lucy said that today was their mother's death anniversary and requested Mina to come home at least for this day. Hearing Lucy's voice message made Mina feel sad, so she decided to go home. Afterward, Mina got fuel from an oil station and started her journey home. But she chose a route to go home that would take her 106 kilometers through the forest. Mina drove while listening to music on her radio and repeatedly listened to the voice message her sister had sent. As Mina was driving through the dangerous forest, suddenly her mobile phone's display stopped working, and the radio also broke down. At the same time, her car suddenly stopped working. Mina tried to start the car many times, but it wouldn't start at all. Mina got out of the car and looked around, spotting a billboard ahead. It read, "Point of no return 12. Seeing this, Mina thought there might be someone nearby. So she took her bag and the bird from the car and started walking into the forest. After walking a bit further and finding no one, she turned back only to see that her car was no longer there. Mina was astonished at how the car suddenly disappeared. This sight made Mina a bit scared, and she started running through the forest. As she ran, suddenly many birds flew away from the forest, and she saw an old woman in front of her, But the old woman started running, and Mina, hoping for help, began chasing her and asking for assistance. However, the old woman didn't listen to her at all. Suddenly, the old woman entered a house in the forest and locked the door. After a moment, she opened the door and said, "I will count to 5. If you can get inside by then, you will live. Otherwise, you will die." Mina immediately started running and entered the house. The old woman quickly locked the door. Inside the house, Mina sees 2 more people, an elderly woman named Madeline, a younger girl named Kira, and a boy named Daniel. The elderly woman explains, "We got lost in this jungle just like you. In this jungle, there resides a tribe of creatures called Watchers, who only come out at night. We have their permission to stay here. If we follow some rules, they won't harm us." The elderly woman further instructs everyone to stand in front of the window in the room, as the Watchers will see them and refrain from causing harm. Within moments, they all hear the sounds of various creatures outside. Mina spends the night in that room, and the next morning decides to leave. She begins walking toward the jungle, followed by Madeline. As Mina runs and eventually reaches a point where all she sees ahead is just jungle after jungle, she realizes that escaping from here is not possible. She then returns to Madeline. Madeline tells her, "We also tried to escape from here but couldn't. None of us can leave." They all return to the room and spend the night listening to music and dancing. There was a TV in their room. Mina spends that night watching TV. The next morning, they all venture out into the jungle to search for food. Kiara and Mina go out together. As they walk and talk, Kiara tells Mina, "My husband and I came to this jungle, but he tried to leave 6 days ago and hasn't returned." At the beginning of the movie, the person we find to watch is Yan, the husband of Kiara. Then Kiara takes Mina in front of a cave and tells her, "Inside this cave lives the Watcher." However, they are not visible during the day and only come out at night. Mina asks Kiara how long she has been here, and Kiara replies, "I have been here for almost 5 months, and Daniel has been here for 1 year, and the elderly woman, Madeline, has been here for a long time." While they were cooking, Madeline explained the rules for staying here to Mina. She says, "If we are to stay here, we must strictly follow their rules, which is why they let us stay here. The first condition is that the door should never be opened at night. You can't come out of it at night. And the mirror in their room should not be turned around behind that mirror." The next day, Mina goes into the jungle with Daniel to find food. There, she asks Daniel if he has ever seen the Watchers. However, Daniel tells her that no one has ever seen them and lived to tell about it. Upon hearing this, Mina takes Daniel toward the cave. She wants to see what's inside the cave, but Daniel hesitates to do so. Nevertheless, Mina doesn't listen. Then, using a rope, she starts to enter the cave. Towards the end of the rope, Daniel holds it. Gradually, Mina starts to enter the cave. Inside, it was pitch dark, and Mina couldn't see anything in the cave. Then, she lights a lighter to see ahead. Inside, she finds several human artifacts and discovers a broken bicycle. She manages to tie the bicycle with the rope and pull it up. Just then, Mina notices a hand reaching toward her. She quickly calls out to Daniel. At that moment, just as the hand was about to grab Mina, Daniel pulled her up. Mina had brought up quite a few things from inside the cave, and everyone gathered to see them. However, Madeline didn't seem very pleased. She forbids Mina from doing such things again next time. At night, they returned to their room and locked the door. Mina had brought out a camera from inside the cave. Daniel placed the camera in front of their door and connected it to the TV. Now, whatever happens outside, they would be able to see it. They wanted to see if the Watchers existed. Then, all of them gathered with deep curiosity in front of the TV to watch for the Watchers. After a while, suddenly they heard a knocking sound on their door. The camera showed someone standing outside. Daniel immediately mentions that someone outside is calling them. However, Madeline insists no one can survive in this jungle at night. It might be a trap set for them. Soon after, voices from the outside call for Claire. They assume it might be Jan returning and waiting outside for her. Because of this, she asks Madeline to open the door for John. However, Madeline refuses to open the door in any way. She says that it's not John. It's a watcher disguised as Jan, trying to trap them. However, from the outside, the person continues to call Claire's name repeatedly. Then Madeline adds, "All right, ask him something only he and you know, something that no one else would know. If it's truly John waiting outside, he'll be able to answer your question. If it's someone else, they won't be able to." Now the caretaker asks the person outside, "Jan, before you and I came here, which book did you buy? If you can answer this, I'll open the door." However, there's no response from outside. The person insists, "Please, just open the door. I want to come inside." Claire then says, "There's a camera outside. Show me your face with the camera." Then the person brings their face in front of the camera, revealing it's Jan. But suddenly, they become agitated, and it seems like someone has smashed the camera. Outside, a loud noise begins. Inside, everyone stands by the window so that the watchers don't harm them. Outside, the watchers start making loud noises. They try to break the window and keep hitting it repeatedly. At one point, their efforts succeed. However, luckily for them, the watchers leave from there. Just like that day. The next morning, Madeline brings back the bicycle and all her belongings into the cave again. She tells everyone that they will find another way out from here because Mina has broken the rules of staying here. Then they start their journey from there. Mina had marked several spots on a white stone to keep track of a few nearby marks, so they would lose their way during the trip. Afterwards, one day, Mina and Kiara went into the jungle to find food. Suddenly, they came across Daniel and Madeline in front of them. Daniel had tied Madeline with a rope. When Mina and Kiara reached there, Madeline told them that Daniel was having some trouble, so he was using it this way and asked them to quickly untie her rope. Daniel quickly sees Mina and Kiara. He then quickly goes towards the room. Kiara takes Daniel's behind, and Mina opens Madeline's rope in hand. However, when Madeline and Mina reach the room, they see that Daniel has closed the door of the room. She does not want to let Mina and Madeline in. The sun had set, and now it was time for the watchers to emerge. If they couldn't get inside the room, the watchers would kill them. With a lot of banging, when Daniel didn't open the door, Madeline took Mina and hid in a thicket. Because within moments, the watchers would come to see them, whether they were inside or not. Within a few moments, the watchers started coming over their heads. They would start looking for the room, first a little later, and then thousands of watchers started surrounding the room. They found the room and the strange animals that looked like humans. They were slim and tall, and these strange animals saw that Mina was scared, but Madeline kept her hand on her face, so no sound came out of her mouth for fear. When the watchers saw that there were only two inside, they quickly went to the jungle to find them. And in that moment, Madeline and Mina again approached the door, starting to call Daniel. But still, Daniel didn't open the door. Then Mina tried to emotionally blackmail him by telling him the story of her childhood. Upon hearing this, Daniel's mind calmed down a bit, and then he opened the door. Inside, Madeline rushes towards Daniel with anger. But at this moment, there's nothing she can do, because they'll soon have to stand in front of their window, because the watchers will come looking for them here again. They all stand in front of the mirror, and then Madeline tells them all, "I haven't said anything false to you, but you don't trust me. You've broken all the rules of being here. Now they won't let us live here." And gradually she tells everyone how she came here. Madeline says, "I have chosen a university to research, and in the old books there, I have read about the Watchers." Madeline said, "When I first came here, at night when I fell asleep, I couldn't figure out where to go. At that very moment, I saw someone exactly like me in front of me. They looked exactly like me, but I couldn't believe it in any way. So I didn't fall into their trap. I started walking away from there, and finally, I could enter this room." Madeline continued, "Watchers have been living on another planet long before human creation. They are very ancient and mature beings. They have come to Earth to research humans and to assimilate all the good qualities of humans into themselves. And their powers are so strong that they can take any form on Earth, any human form. But they only live in this jungle because if civilized humans on Earth discover their existence, there will be a terrible war between humans and them. And that's why they don't let anyone who comes to this jungle return to the civilized world. Even they do not leave this jungle. When Madeline was telling them this story, the Watchers arrived there. Mina could hear many people's voices from outside, even recognizing their voices. Each time, different voices were calling them, asking them to open the door. Watchers from outside were repeatedly pushing against the door of the room. The door seemed not to break, so Mina gathered everyone and placed a table in front of the door. But just as they were about to push the table, Mina suddenly noticed something like a blanket there. Then they all tried to lift the blanket. As they attempted to lift it, they noticed a door there, which led to a room beneath the ground. Meanwhile, the Watchers outside were trying to break the window of this room. At that moment, as the Watchers shattered the window, Mina and everyone else quickly entered the hidden room beneath the ground and immediately locked its door. Inside, they were astonished to find a well-organized room prepared for human habitation. After a moment of observation, they could deduce that someone had possibly been living there for many years. They further explored and discovered plenty of food supplies and even a computer. Mina turned on the computer and attempted to find any information inside. Mina found several files on the computer and started opening them one by one. In the first video, they saw a person introducing himself as Professor Name. As they watched each video sequentially, they began to understand. This Professor Name had created this room. He conducted research here on both the jungle and its inhabitants, the Watchers. They even saw that he had captured a Watcher and conducted experiments on it within this room. Professor Name had been living here for many years. However, in the end, he couldn't overpower the Watchers. At that moment, he was defeated by the Watchers and lost himself. Mina found recorded daily videos on the professor's computer. However, as they didn't have much time to watch all the videos, they directly opened the last one. In this video, the professor explained how to exit from here. When the professor first came to this jungle, he arrived by boat. He had left the boat anchored in the river. To leave there, they needed the help of a bird. This bird could show them the way and lead them back to the boat. Besides, no one could leave from here except with the help of this bird. After watching the video, Mina understands that there is still a path open for them to leave from here, but it's risky. If they delay and fail to leave the jungle before sunrise, they might not make it out alive due to the dangers present in daylight. Therefore, they all plan to start their journey out of the jungle early the next morning. Tonight is their last night here. And in celebration, Daniel and Kira start dancing to a song played on a cassette. Madeline and Mina enjoy watching their fun and laugh heartily as they rest. The next morning, they all sneak out of the cellar. Outside, they find that the Watchers have broken and dismantled the hidden room under the ground. Fortunately, they had not discovered the underground room, or else they might not have survived on this earth any longer. It was their last night there. Mina takes the bird that had helped them the most, and together they decide to part ways with it. As they walk through the jungle, they start following the marks they had previously left on trees. After some time, they reached a place where there was a mark made by the professor. No turning back 134. This meant that if they continued walking past this marking, they would not be able to return this way. Mina releases her pet bird from its cage and they begin to move forward, following their path step by step. As they continue walking through the jungle, they suddenly come across something. A sealed door to an underground chamber. Nearby, several Watchers are imprisoned. This was another task set up by the professor. After noting this, they resume their journey along the jungle path. They walk through the jungle all day long. However, within moments, the sun will set. Once the sun sets, it will become difficult for them to exit the jungle because the Watchers will emerge from their pits. As they continue walking, it suddenly starts raining, and they see several children running around in the jungle. They realize these are traps set by the Watchers, so they begin running ahead without looking back. The sun has already set, and suddenly, a startled bird flies out from ahead. They all understand that the Watchers will emerge any moment now. In a short while, the Watchers start chasing them from behind, and they all run desperately forward. Madeline warns them not to look back, as if anyone looks back, the Watchers will trap them. Gradually, darkness descends upon the jungle, and the Watchers begin to close in on them. They can see a faint light ahead, indicating they have reached the end of the jungle. However, it seems this path isn't their final destination. They hold on to their lives desperately. At one point, they reach the banks of a river. They are all very happy because they have finally left the jungle behind. Then, Mina and Madeline start looking for the professor's boat on the river. Just then, Daniel turns back. He hears someone calling him. He sees a person calling out to him. The person wants his help to take him away from here. They search and find the professor's boat nearby, and they climb aboard. At that moment, they notice Daniel is not with them. They are surprised and look closely. Daniel is bringing someone out of the jungle. However, Kira shouts, "Daniel, that's not a person. That's a Watcher. Hurry up and come here quickly." But Daniel doesn't listen to them. Meanwhile, Madeline, Mina, and Kira quickly start to move away from there on the boat. From the boat, they can see several Watchers standing near the edge of the jungle. Madeline then reassures them, "No problem, maybe we've survived this journey," because the Watchers won't leave the jungle. After navigating through the night, as dawn breaks, they halt near a large road. As they step onto the road, they see a bus approaching. All three board the bus. Perhaps Madeline, Mina, and Kira are among those who have emerged from this jungle for the first time. Finally, they return to their own homes. However, Mina, being very curious, decides that she will go to the university that the professor in the video they watched had mentioned. Mina decides to research the Watchers there. After a few days, Mina indeed goes to that university. She goes to the university office and expresses her desire to learn some information about the professor. A staff member then escorts her to the professor's room. Mina finds many fascinating things in the professor's room. On the wall of the professor's room, she sees a painting depicting a conflict between Watchers and humans. On the professor's desk, she finds a letter. Keeping the letter with her, she starts reading through various notebooks and papers kept there. Afterward, she returns straight to Kira's house. From the professor's room, she discovers something surprising that she feels she must immediately share with Kira. This is precisely why she has come to Kira's place. Kira is delighted to see Mina and takes her inside the house. Without delaying further, Mina tells Kira that the professor used to teach at the university where she had visited. She mentions going to his office and finding many papers related to Watchers in that particular jungle. The professor had been researching Watchers for many years. Then Mina shows Kira several pictures she found in the professor's office. These pictures were of the wedding between the professor and Madeline, but Kira cannot understand any of this from the pictures. Then Mina tells her, "By reading through those papers, I understand that Madeline and the professor were married. And the most surprising thing is that Madeline is a Watcher, but she has lived among us in the jungle in such a way that we could never understand that she might be a Watcher herself." Kira then tells Mina that they cannot go out in the sunlight. Mina then tells her, Madeline is completely different from them. Madeline is the only Watcher who can go out in the sunlight and can also leave the jungle. But she came to us so that she could live with civilized people and learn more about us. Mina then says, if she finds out that we know about them, she won't let us live on Earth anymore. And I think she already knows that we have learned about her. So she might come here soon. Before she finishes speaking, they see a car approaching from outside. Astonished, Mina notices that the person she is talking to is Madeline, that is, a Watcher. Madeline now assumes the form of Kira and stands right in front of the house. As Kira enters the house, the Watcher approaches the people and strikes Kira with the picture frame, unaware. Seeing this, Mina starts running towards her, but the Watcher grabs Mina and throws her against the wall. Mina tells her not to kill her, pleading not to tell anyone that she is a Watcher. However, the Watcher doesn't listen to Mina's words. She tries to strike Mina repeatedly, taking on different forms each time. The Watcher grabs Mina by the throat and presses her against the wall. At that moment, Mina realizes that it's impossible to escape like this. So she begins to play a mind game this time. Mina tells the Watcher, "The professor never told you why you can't come out even during daylight, did he? Why can you step out of that jungle, but other Watchers cannot?" The Watcher becomes somewhat confused now. Suddenly, a whirlwind of thoughts creates a stir in her mind. Indeed, she never thought about it this way. Mina starts saying, "There was a record in the professor's office. I found out about this from there." Mina asks the Watcher, "Do you know if humans live for each other, even fall in love, get married, and have children? And from that record in the office, I've learned that you're not entirely a Watcher. There's a part of you that's human, because you married the professor, and that's exactly why you can come out during the day and leave that jungle. Moreover, when we were trapped inside that room in the jungle, you saved us. With a part of you being human, you experienced everything, just like us." Upon hearing Mina's words, the Watcher begins to undergo a strange transformation. It starts to shift back to its Watcher form and tells Mina, "Maybe you're right." Then it leaves her there and flies away. At the very end of the story, Mina visits her sister's house, where she spends quality time with her nieces and nephews. However, occasionally she catches glimpses of the Watcher in various forms, keeping an eye on her but causing no harm. Perhaps it wants to remain among humans in this way. Hello friends, that's how this movie ends. However, several questions arise. Are extraterrestrial beings here on Earth? And does their existence truly exist? Science is conducting extensive research on this, and perhaps one day, we will truly know if intelligent beings from other planets exist. If you enjoyed the movie, please subscribe to our channel. That's all for today. Take care, and we'll see you with another exciting movie next time.